What's next? The voice of the Commanders. Bram Weinstein joins us. Bram, good morning. How are you doing today?
Hey, John. What's going on?
What's going on, buddy? Andrew Salciunas and I trying to figure out why the Washington Commanders would want to get rid of Jahan Dotson. Can you clear that up for us?
Sure. I am not surprised he was traded. I am surprised he was traded in the division. That's probably about the only thing that really ended up overly surprising about it. Albeit, if you told me in the spring that this would happen, I wouldn't have believed it. But throughout camp, I don't think anyone sits there and thinks that the Commanders have a really, robust receiving core. And it just felt like he was penciled in as someone who would have a big role. More and more as like camp was going on, you're seeing De'Ami Brown get a lot more reps. Olamide Zaccheaus, get a lot more reps. They use a pick on.
You're breaking up on us. You're breaking up on us, Bram. We're going to try.
Yeah, we're going to put you on hold. We're going to try to clear
up
that line. So he's saying he wasn't very surprised that the trade happened.
Camp was not going. And the weird thing is going back and reading. First thing I did was go and read it. Camp was not going well. It wasn't going well.
To basically give up on a first-round pick who's, by the way, Camp might be going well. He's had success in the NFL.
He has. And the thing is, though, new administration, maybe?
That could be it. Let's go back to Bram. All right, Bram, we got you?
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, so thanks. So, yeah, if you could continue your point, we appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. So, I'm surprised, he was moved because this isn't a team that walks out there with, like, the Bears receiving core or, for that matter, what the Eagles have. And so I'm surprised that he didn't – I think the surprise is he didn't emerge. And from the spring, I never would have believed this. But during camp, as camp's going on, De'Ami Brown's getting more opportunities. Olamide Zaccheaus, is getting more opportunities. They used the third-round pick on Christian McCaffrey's brother, Luke. They profiled him in Miami the other night in the preseason game. And Dotson just didn't have a specific role. Like, that became more and more clear as camp was going on. And then there's the other thing where, and this is a longer story, which we can get into if you want to, but last year the offense that they had didn't suit anybody, and specifically him. And now this is a completely different group, but there's a carryover here. I mean, he's openly talked about wanting to get his confidence back and trying to figure out where he fits in. And I just feel like, as camp went along, all of us that were watching it were going, I don't know what his role is going to be. So I'm not surprised that he was traded, but I will tell you I'm surprised he was traded there because that's the one part of it. I was surprised it's the Eagles in division.
Well, do you almost feel like they gave up on him because he's a first-round pick? He's had success in the league in 2 years. Obviously, his rookie season, he was a little hampered with injuries, but he's had success. And if we're talking about confidence and role, is that borderline giving up on a player too early?
I mean, I suppose. I mean, you keep in mind they didn't draft him. Not this group. Like,
right,
it's literally
right.
Everything is different here. Everything. Front office, coach. They're going to have 30 to 35 new players on this team. I mean, the whole thing is completely different. I've never actually seen anything like this, like a turnover like this. And there have been throughout the summer, the way we kind of describe it, like they keep saying, like they just preach competition, and there's been no sacred cows at all. Like they've lived up to that at every turn. Everybody's had to earn the spots that they've been on, and there have been like limited exceptions to this throughout the summer. Like John Allen and Daron Payne are not being tested as starters. Terry McLaurin is not being tested as a wide receiver, but everybody else, it's been up for grabs. And there's even other like prominent starters that we don't know whether they're going to end up having a role or not. So I'm not surprised, but give up on him. It's hard. It's hard for me to answer that question because he was talking so much about his confidence early in camp. And as you'll see, because he's a really, really accessible, nice, person. Like, you'll see, he's going to be great with you guys. Like, he'll talk and he'll tell you how he's feeling and all that stuff. If he repeats all the things that he was saying down here throughout camp about trying to get his confidence back, trying to find a role, trying to learn the offense and all that stuff, I think you would start to see the pathway to, I don't know, like, why doesn't he have his confidence? He scored 7 touchdowns as a rookie 2 years ago with abjectly bad quarterback play. Like, why did it get lost because of 1 year in a bad offense? And only he can really answer that. And then there's one other thing, and I don't know that they'll, point this out a lot, but Dotson's not the most physical player. You'll see he's not that big of a guy. He's not that strong of a guy. So, it's his quickness, it's his hands, it's his ability down the field, make big plays. There's a lot of really positive attributes. This team does want guys who are going to play physically. They're going to block down the field. They can trust them in that way, and I'm not sure that that's his skill set, to be honest.
Bram, tell us a little bit about if you're getting ready to broadcast the Commanders game versus the Eagles. There'll be 2 of those this year. I'm going to bring a nice group of bus down like we have previous years too. So we'll be there to see you. Where do you see Dotson fitting in here? With everything the Eagles have on offense, is he a guy who you think ends up just being a spare part that sort of gets lost in the shuffle? Or do you think he's a guy that could maybe explode here?
Well, I mean, I think you'd have a better way to answer that question. Do you think he's going to take targets away from A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith or Dallas Goedert or Saquon Barkley? So I think it's hard for me to envision a role where he's your leading receiver.
I'm looking at it
because of who you have.
I looked at him as the best insurance policy they ever could have had yesterday when they acquired him. He's a great insurance policy.
Yes, you got a really, really skilled player. I think that's where we are all kind of surprised. I think the story really is, why didn't he automatically emerge as the number 2 receiver here? Because we don't have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith here. We have one really good receiver and some veterans and some others vying to get opportunity. This is very different. And so the fact that he didn't step up and become the obvious choice to be the number 2 receiver here, there's something going on. And he needed a change of scenery, clearly, and he got it. I don't know. Only he can answer why he needed that, because, as I told you earlier, everything started from square one here. It was you want to talk about turning the page. I mean, the entire organization has turned the page from what they were. So everybody was getting a fair shot. But for some reason, it just was not working for him. It felt like a carryover of last year. He was very frustrated. In his defense, I thought he was wildly misutilized a year ago under Eric Bieniemy. The players themselves they had recoiled and pushed back against what the offense was and how they were being coached early. And Ron Rivera's probably biggest mistake of a year ago was not stepping in and changing that dynamic early. And so I thought, we turn the page, you change everything, you bring in this different coaching staff, it's a very positive coaching staff, that it would all be, water under the bridge and we move on. But for him, it wasn't. And there is something there that only he could answer. And, as I was telling you earlier, you're going to like him. He's a really nice kid. He's very skilled. He'll be very accessible. He'll talk openly with you guys. He's a terrific young man. But I'm surprised that we're talking about this today.
Last thing before I let you go, Bram, we're speaking with Bram Weinstein, the voice of the Commanders, and, of course, host the Bram Weinstein Show on ESPN 630 in D.C. At this point, when you see Jahan Dotson gets traded to the Eagles, are you angry that Howie does it again, or have you reached the point of eye roll of, oh, my God, he did it again?
This is the second time they've traded with you guys in a prominent place this year. So, we recognize who the giant gorilla in the division is, and I don't know why you'd help them, but that's for Adam Peters to answer for sure. At the same time, I think this team is resetting, I think would be the way I would put it, in the right way. This was the first real surprise of anything that they've done so far. And I've had a couple people tell me, because they, watched what he and John Lynch did in San Francisco, they said, don't be surprised about this at all. When they first got to San Francisco, there were 4 or 5 moves that were made with players that were carryovers that people were like, what? And, I think they're trying to build something that emulates what San Francisco has. For some reason, they didn't feel like Dotson fit into that. If he helps you guys in the short term, then, good for him. Because I'll go back to, I like him a lot. You're going to like him a lot. And I actually do hope he gets his confidence back because he's an extremely skilled player. There's like this one thing about him I just want to tell you because it's actually amazing. This is the surprising part. Like you ever go play golf with your friends and you hear how the ball sounds when you hit the ball, and then you go to like a professional golf tournament and you hear how a professional hits it and it just sounds completely different. When the ball hits this kid's hands, it has this soft sound that's hard to describe. Like he's got the softest hands I've ever heard, where it almost doesn't sound like it hits his hand.
Right.
It's really strange. And this is like one of those things where I go, I know this kid could be special, but he's got to want to be.
I love I love your head coach. I told you he's a good dude, and I think it's. I wasn't happy to see get your new quarterback either. So we're looking forward to the matchups this year, though.
Yeah, we'll be talking to you a few times
great,
this season.
Yeah,
he does
looks great, by the way.
And Adam Schefter's very high on him too. Adam joins us every week, and he.